Sports with your host, Jay Pops. Guys, I am back. And guys, look, right? First off, to Kellen Mond, if you're listening, to Marcel Reed, if you're listening, to Colin Klein, Coach Mike Elko, and everybody else out there, they're the Aggies, right? So I posted something on Twitter. Hey, look, this is my apologies. I should have worded that totally different, right? And shout out to Kellen Mond for, he had something to say about it. So I should have reworded that totally different. I was not taking a shot at Marcel Reed. If you have come on this podcast long enough, and if you have been a part of the subscriber club, in which I love you guys for doing, right? I have supported Marcel Reed from day one. Okay, I've supported Connor Wigman from day one. Hell, I've even supported Kellen Mond from day one when everybody wrote him off for whatever reason. I wasn't taking a shot at Marcel Reed at all. I was taking a shot at OC Colin Klein and just basically stating how I felt. Shouldn't have done it last night, right? Totally out of emotions right there. Hey, look, the emotions got the best of me, and I apologize for it. So, Marcel Reed, if you're listening, these losses are not on you. What I said was that I hate it for them to make you the permanent starter, and we go out there, and it's been 3 straight SEC losses ever since you were the permanent starter. That's what I hate. And what I said last night was that I hated how the way all of these losses have to fall on you. Because everybody's going to come for you. They're going to come for the offense coordinator as well, but they're all going to direct their attention towards Marcel Reed. That is what I was saying right there. All right, so that's my honest mistake. And hey, if you're listening, man, hey, forgive me on that. Made a mistake on that. Like I say, should have worded it differently. I should have known because it's social media, right? And it's a lot of things that are going to be ran and taken out of context. Other people are going to feel all type of ways because of the simple fact that I did not write anything about the offense coordinator in there. I didn't think I had to at the time. But like I say, hey, it is what it is. And we're just going to keep on going. All right. So guys, if you're listening, right, number one, this isn't going to be a long podcast. Reason being is because the game is on right now, in which I'm watching. Hey, I got on my Texan uniform. I'm all Houston, baby. But this is the thing. So we all need to look forward to, the bowl game and see what type of bowl game and stuff like that we get. As of right now, we are not inside of the coaches poll. I have no clue what the AP poll is going to present. But as of right now, we are not inside of the coaches poll, okay? We are a unranked team at the moment, and it is what it is. Now, do I think that A&M deserves to be unranked? No, I totally don't. But if guys would have came on here, right, and told me, though, that Texas A&M would hold Texas to the lowest point total of the season, I probably would have said you were lying right there. I probably would have said you were lying. Then again, I would have believed it, right? And that's ultimately what Texas A&M did. A&M held them to the lowest point total of the season. So what does that say about this team going forward, right? I feel good. I feel good about the bowl game that we'll go to, right? Because I am going to watch it. And I feel good about what's up ahead forward. That's that. I feel good about it. I feel good for the 2025 recruiting class. I'm curious to see what offensive production we put out on the field next year, because I'm going to go through some things. And I'm going to tell you guys why I feel good about 2025. But we're going to see what's all what we're going to see. We're going to have to sit here and see who all leaves for the 2025 NFL draft, and we're going to have to see who all goes to transfer portal. Okay. I do have some names that I want you guys to sit back and watch, in which number one is quarterback Connor Wigman. I think we've all come into the norm right now of believing that Connor will not stay. Connor will not stay. If Connor does stay, it's going to shock a lot of us around Texas A&M. It's going to shock us all. And the only reason why I say that is because, man, Connor can go and be a starter somewhere, okay? So I think Connor Wigman leaves. Another person, and shout out to Lance Jackson, an Aggie alum, by the way. But yeah, shout out to Lance Jackson for bringing this name up. Quarterback Jalen Henderson. I'm curious to see if he stays or not. In which I don't think Jalen Henderson would stay. I think he will also transfer out. I think some wide receivers may go to the NFL draft, and then again, I think some wide receivers will also transfer out. I think maybe one or two defensive backs transfer out, man. So it's going to be some names to watch, because a couple of these guys will leave and go to the NFL draft, but a couple of these guys will come back, right? So the names to watch to come back for next season. And this may shock a lot of you guys, but then again, it may not. And I was going through this, and I was just curious, man. I told you guys I have to go and watch that depth. We have depth on the defensive line. It didn't make any sense for us not to rotate a lot of these guys, though. You know, it didn't make any sense at all. So I'm just gonna go through a couple of these guys, man, and let me go on here, because like I say, I was looking this morning and I wanted to see who was all what. So let me go. So position group, right? Defensive backs. Miles Davis is coming back because he's only a freshman, right? We already know that. Jordan Pride, I don't even much think he played this season, but he's another one that's the defensive back coming back. Dez Ricks is coming back, of course, because he was only a freshman. Bryce Anderson, that's the big name to watch. That's on that defensive back end. I don't believe he goes to the NFL draft this year. I believe he comes back. Jared Kerr, that's a name to watch to see if he's going to go to transfer portal or not. But if not, he comes back. He's a junior. Will Lee, he's not going to the NFL draft this year, I don't believe. I believe he's coming back. That's going to be a good addition, right? Donovan Sanders, who was a junior, I don't believe he's going anywhere. Dalton Brooks, he was a sophomore. He's going to have some more experience come next year. I don't believe he's going to transfer portal either. Marcus Ratcliffe, he comes back again. Bravion Rogers, another defensive back, sophomore. He comes back. Javon Thomas, defensive back. He's not going to transfer out, in my opinion. He comes back. He was a sophomore. Ari Tavino, he was a sophomore. He comes back. Isaiah Willis, he was a sophomore as well. He comes back. Tyreek Chappelle is the biggest name to watch on this cornerback unit for me. Tyreek Chappelle got hurt, in which ultimately ended his season with a torn ACL. Tyreek Chappelle comes back in 2025. He will not be going to the NFL draft. That's going to be the number one corner on the NFL draft boards next year. Him and Will Lee the third, I think those guys are going to be a tandem, because that was supposed to be the tandem to begin with. So we got to remember, we faced a lot. We faced a couple of injuries this season, in which, hey, you know, that's a part of the game. Next man up. I believe Will Lee done good enough. You know, others that were placed into positions, they didn't do so well, and that's fine, right? It comes with experience. You have to be experienced. So Jayden Hill, he comes back next year. He'll have some more experience. All right. Yes, Tyreek Chappelle is coming back next year. Trey Jones III, he was a senior. I think he leaves this year. BJ Mays, if he has a COVID year, I believe he comes back next year. The defensive back unit will be the biggest thing for Texas A&M on defense next year. That's why I feel good. I feel good, man. I feel good. Okay. All right. So let's go to that defensive line. Dalen Evans, in which was a freshman. We haven't even seen him. He'll be back next year. Kendall Jackson, that was a freshman. He'll be back next year. Jordan Scarlett, we have yet to see this guy get on the field. He will be back next year. He is counted as a freshman, by the way, at the age of 21. Samu, I'm not going to pronounce that last name. He's from Atascocita. We've yet to see him get back on the field, man. He will be back next year, okay? Solomon Williams, which was a guy we are raving to see. He will be back next year, all right? And he was a freshman. Cassius Howard, he's not going to the NFL draft. I honestly don't believe so. That's a junior. He will be a senior next year. Albert Regis, I don't think he goes to the NFL draft this year, nor does he transfer out. He will be back next year. He's a junior. Nick Scorden, his draft stock was up. Nick Scorden is not going to the NFL draft, I don't believe, this year. I believe he comes back and he solidifies something. All right, Shamar Stewart, he wasn't on the draft boards this year. I believe he comes back. Okay, Malik Silla, they need to let him play already. He will be back or he will transfer out. That's a guy to keep your name on. Enoch White, he'll be back next year. All right, I think he had got hurt. He missed a lot of this season, but he's a junior as well. Next year, he'll be a senior. He'll be back. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy is the goddamn name that I speak for every A&M Aggie all around. We need to see what this guy has already. I think he'll be back next year. He's a sophomore. He'll be a junior. Remember, he's been hurt most of his career. DJ Hicks, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with next year. He'll be back. He won't transfer out. Ryland Kennedy, he'll be back. Rodis Johnson, I think he'll leave this year. And Shamar Turner is the one that we're all watching around the country. Will Shamar Turner take another chance at it and use his I think COVID red shirt? Will he use it? Who do you think enters the portal? I think Connor Wigman is number one. I think he enters the transfer portal. And a lot of people will say, man, why y'all keep saying Connor? I believe Connor will enter the transfer portal. Okay? Another name I had brought up is Malik Silla. I believe Malik Silla will enter the transfer portal as well. All right, let's keep on going here. For the kickers, right? Randy Bond, he was a senior. Randy Bond is gone, okay? He will leave. We have another kicker who is Eli Crozel. I believe he'll be back, okay? I believe he'll be back. So let's go ahead and go to the linebackers. Tristan Jernigan. Shout out to his mom, Chastity Jernigan, by the way. I don't believe he'll leave out, okay? He will stay. That's the linebacker. He's the freshman. Jordan Lockhart, I believe he'll be back next year. He was a freshman as well. Martrell Harris, keep your eye on that young man. I believe he'll leave. I do believe he'll transfer out. Linebacker Martrell Harris, I believe, will transfer out the program, okay? Scooby Williams, he'll be back next year. All right, he's going to be a junior. All right. Chance Jackson, he was a sophomore. He'll be back next year. Damian Sanford, he'll be back next year. Terrion York, he would most definitely be back next year. And think about what I'm saying with this linebacker core. So I just named 3 sophomores. All of these guys will be juniors next year. All of these guys will be juniors next year. This will be a good tandem defensively because these guys will have well enough experience. All right, it'll be 2 years under Mike Elko's and Jay Bateman's defensive system. And I think they'll be better next year. I really do think they'll be better. They weren't bad this year. They just missed a lot of tackles to end the season, and which is freaking crazy to me. But that's it, man. They just missed a lot of tackles. Solomon DeShields, he was a senior. I do think he leaves on this year, or if he has another year, he can come back. Danny Lockhart Jr., I hate that we didn't see him as much. I really feel like you should have used Danny Lockhart Jr. He was a senior. He may be back. Then again, he may just, he'll go out there and he'll see what he has in the NFL. All right, keep on going here. Offensive lineman. Now we get into the offensive side. Offensive lineman. Who all comes back? Azendra Alpha, which was a freshman. I think he'll be back. Robert Borden, he was a freshman as well. He'll be back. Ashton Funk, he was a freshman. He'll be back. Blake Ivy. Blake Ivy will most definitely be back. Okay? He was a freshman as well. TJ Shanahan. That guy put in some work. TJ Shanahan will be back next year. Okay? He will be back next year. Demetrius Crownover, he'll be back next year. Cam Dewberry, I think he'll be back next year. He'll be a senior. Kalu Fua, which was a junior, he'll be back next year, which will make him a senior. He's a junior as well. Aki, I'm not going to pronounce that last name. He was a junior as well. I think he'll be back next year. All of the offensive linemen will be back next year. Amar J. Reed Adams, he'll be back next year. He was also an offensive lineman. He was a junior. He'll be back next year. Trey Zoom will be back next year. This offensive line unit. See, this is what should excite a lot of you all out there that are Aggie fans around the country, right? And I know y'all don't want to hear it, but shout out to Mike Elko for being in a position to get us in the first ever SEC title game. That's fine. Hey, Texas done it. That game is over with. We'll have to see you guys in another 365 days from now, okay? It is what it is. The offensive line will be a force to be reckoned with on next year because that team will by far have the most experience around the entire country. Okay? The starters that are going to be on that line, none of those guys will be freshmen. None. And all of them would have legit SEC experience. We're talking about at least like 3 years. So I like the stat that they put up there for Texas yesterday with that offensive line. And they had said, man, all of these guys each had like 165 something snaps as starting offensive linemen. That was a cohesive unit. It was already rated one of the best offensive lines in the country. I still do think that. And that sets up well for the future. So for Texas A&M next year, you will also have one of the best offensive lines in the country. Okay? I do think we took a hit when Le'Veon Moss went down. Okay? We ultimately took a hit. That's fine, man. It is what it is. So Chase Basantis, he'll be back on next year. Hunter Erb will also be back next year. Chance Jackson, he'll be back. Mark Nabo, he got injured early in the season. He'll be back next year. He's not going anywhere, in my opinion. Ruben Faldery, the second, if he has another year, I think Ruben Faldery comes back. Okay? Tyler White, the punter, shout out to him. We will have one of the best special teams out there next year. Okay? He comes back next year. Paxton Land, which is a quarterback, he was a freshman. He may enter the transfer portal. Then again, he may come back next year. Miles O'Neal, he will not enter the transfer portal. I'm telling you guys this right now. He'll be back next year. Quarterback, freshman, he'll be back. Marcel Reed, we all know that he's coming back next year. Okay? Jalen Henderson is the guy to keep your eye on. I think he transfers out. Okay? I really do. Dallas Nokovich, I think he was a walk-on. I think he may transfer. Connor Wigman is by far one of the biggest ones that is going to enter that transfer portal. Blake Bose, he's gone. We're losing him. Ronnie Crosby, the third, I think he'll be back next year. He's a freshman running back. Amari Daniels, I think Amari Daniels comes back for the senior year. I think he comes back. I think a lot of people may put his name out there to enter the transfer portal to potentially go to maybe Florida or Miami. Okay, if I was the guy that was picking Amari, if he went to transfer portal, it's going to be one of the Florida schools. He's going to go back home. Then again, I don't think Amari Daniels leaves. That's me. He's gotten better ever since he's been here. He was better this year, and we're going to need him going forward. Okay. Le'Veon Moss, he comes back next year. He's not going to transfer out. Ruben Owens definitely comes back to next year. He's going to be good. Um, and these guys all have legit experience. Think about these guys, man. These guys, man, we lost them. We lost these guys in the season. We lost Ruben Owens before the season even started, and we lost Le'Veon Moss within the season. Amari Daniels, by far, is probably one of the best backs endurance-wise. He's endured a lot, and I believe he'll come back next season, and he'll join his running back game once again. E.J. Smith, he's gone to the NFL. I do think he's probably going to end up on the practice squad. Or if he has a good NFL combine, in which I believe he'll get invited to it, I believe that guy's going to be good. Jaden Platt, I'm putting my eye on him. He may enter the transfer pool. Okay, he's a freshman. He came from Stanford in the transfer portal. Then again, I think he may stay because of how many tight ends will be leaving this year. Donovan Green, I believe he'll come back next season. Theo Melanum Ostrom, he'll be back next season. Shane Calhoun, I believe he's gone to the NFL. Garrett Miller, he's going to the NFL. And Trey Watson, he's going to the NFL. This is why I say keep your name on these guys here. I believe your tight end unit will be pretty darn good next season. Okay, I believe Donovan Green finally gets that start that he's been hoping for next year in 2025. Donovan Green was good. I believe they cautiously didn't play him. And then again, I believe they wanted to play a lot of these seniors and get these guys going and try to see if they can help them get some draft stock out there, okay? Let's keep going here. Wide receiver Ashton Bethel-Roman, he'll be back next year. He was a freshman, four-star freshman, by the way. He'll be back. Let's keep going. Terry Bussey, he'll be back next year. We use Terry Bussey a lot, and Terry Bussey made every bit of that experience worth it, okay? I believe Terry Bussey will be very good next year. Ernest Campbell, we didn't use him a lot this year. He'll be back next year, though. Wesley Watson, he's a freshman. I think he'll be back. Isaiah Williams, he'll be back next year. He was a freshman. He'll get used a lot next year. Cyrus Allen, he was a junior. He'll be back, and he'll be pretty good next year. Noah Thomas, he won't be going anywhere, people. He'll come back for his senior year, and Noah will be damn good. Noah will be good, okay? Let's keep going. Micah Tease, I'm putting an eye on him for potentially transferring out. Potentially transferring out. If not, he's going to be very good next year because we're going to need him at slot. Jabri Barber, he's gone next year. Moose Muhammad is a guy I'm going to watch. If Moose Muhammad gets another available year, I believe he'll come back. It's something about this place, and it's something about Moose. I believe Moose will be back next year. Sam Saltz is gone. He was a wide receiver as well. And Ja'Day Walker is also gone. Okay? He's gone. He is going to the NFL. I do believe he gets drafted late, very late, probably in like the 6th, maybe 7th round. But yeah, I believe that's it. That's it for Ja'Day. I don't believe he's coming back at all. Then again, I don't believe he has any eligibility as well. But yeah, that's it for the guys that are coming back. So that's why I do feel good about this club coming back. They'll be very veteran. This would be a veteran group coming into here next year. I believe this year we exceeded a lot of expectations because this team was prompt to go 7-5. And they honestly exceeded a lot of expectations in the SEC. And they went 8-4, man. They almost got into the championship game. That's really exceeding a whole lot of expectations. Like I say, shout out to Texas. No, none of us likes it. These guys came into here the first year and got into the SEC championship, and which was what Texas A&M should have done in their first year, and which is very mind-blowing to me. It's crazy, but you cannot keep letting that hang over your head, okay? I believe this passing game will have to be explosive next year, but I don't believe you go away from the running game. You are a running team under Mike Elko, and I believe you stay that way but you make them respect you with with what you have at wide receiver. Okay? You make them respect you. Lance Jackson, Amari, and Le'Veon will leave. Let me see what this says. Say Amari and Le'Veon will leave, and we'll see who plays in the bowl game. I don't think Le'Veon Moss leaves, man. I think Le'Veon wants another shot at it. He wants another crack. Now, he knows that he's going to share the load with Ruben Owens a lot, but I think he gets another crack at it because Le'Veon Moss, by far, is your second best running back on that team. He was your first best running back on that team this year because Ruben Owens went down. But I don't think for a fact that Le'Veon Moss won't get drafted when he does leave. Okay? But man, we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see who puts in their papers and says, hey, I'm out. And you know, it is what it is. But yeah, we're gonna have to look. This recruiting on December 4th, I will be here for the recruiting part of it. And as of right now, Texas A&M recruiting class is ranked number 11 in the country right now, which is outside of the top 10. I believe they signed I believe they signed a couple of more other people in this class that will ultimately boost them up to maybe like number 9. I'm going to say that they'll probably fall right at number 9. I don't think Texas will get the number 1 class. I believe Georgia will get the number 1 class. I believe Ohio State will probably come right in at number 2 when it's all said and done. But I believe Texas will end up at number 4. They will end up with the number 4 overall recruiting class when it's all said and done. Then again, you just don't know who's all going to flip. Somebody's going to start flipping somewhere. I believe Florida signs a top 10 class as well because it's something about DJ Legway. And I told you guys this. And you know, it is what it is. But right now inside of this recruiting class with 22 commits at the moment, and this is Mike Elko's first full recruiting class. So I do definitely think he's going to end up in the top 10. A couple of guys that are going to have to step up as freshmen, and I'm just scrolling through it and looking through it right now, looking through it. It's not going to be the quarterback, by the way. For anybody who's thinking that, it will not be the quarterback. I think a couple of these guys that are going to have to step up as freshmen, or it's maybe safety Rashad Johnson. I believe Rashad Johnson is going to have to step up as a freshman because we're going to use him a lot. We're going to have to use him. Okay. Let me look at a couple of prospects here and see who we will potentially, end up signing in a long run. I believe Michael Cherry III is a long shot. But this is what's going to help Texas A&M get into the top 10 this year. These kids knew that Texas A&M was 1 game away from getting into the SEC title game. That will boost the recruiting by far. That will take off in recruiting. They were 1 game away. 1 game. And all it takes is a couple of recruits that are freshmen to be put in the right spot with a couple of veterans on that team. And you set yourself up to go a long way, man. To go a long way. Another one to watch right here is Lamont Rogers. I believe Lamont Rogers will flip. I believe he will come to Texas A&M. Another one to watch very closely is Javion Hilson from out of Cocoa, Florida. I believe he will end up committing to Texas A&M. Another one who you may want to watch on the flip side of it, and like I say, Michael Cherry III is a long shot, but then again, I've seen stranger things. Man. You can ultimately see Michael Cherry commit to Texas A&M because he feels like he's that missing piece. You can see that. I have not heard anything, to be honest with you, and that's why I'm telling you that could be a long, long shot. But you also have to see who all enters this transfer portal. I believe the wide receiver from USC could ultimately flip. I believe. Well, no, not USC. I believe the wide receiver that committed to Utah. I believe that he can ultimately flip. Well, did he commit to Utah or is USC? It's one of them. But I also believe the wide receiver that's already at USC, and which is a guy that I wanted bad. I can't think of his name right now for whatever reason. But he was a five-star freshman coming out. I believe he could enter the transfer portal. And I believe that Texas A&M could be sitting out waiting on him. You get that guy, he's coming. Also, another name to watch is what's his name? He called himself Jay the Great. What is his name, man? I cannot think of his name. But he was a five-star coming out, and I wanted the guy on the cool. I can't think of his name none whatsoever, man. But hold up, man. Let me look at this. What is his name? Jonte Cook. I believe you can ultimately land Jonte Cook. I honestly do. I believe Jonte Cook looked at that Texas and Texas A&M game, and I think he looked at A&M period, and he was like, man, no, they were really close at going to the SEC title game, man. You just couldn't make enough plays offensively. You could not. You just couldn't make enough plays offensively. But I'm in the realm of believing that Jonte Cook most likely will be at Texas A&M next year. And if that guy comes to Texas A&M next year, I believe that you're going to have a damn good wide receiver core. And Jonte Cook, I don't believe he's a cancer in the locker room. I just don't believe he may have fit in what Texas wanted to do. That's what I feel about it. I wanted him on the recruiting trail, and a lot of you guys didn't want him, and which is crazy to me. But I think he does know if he comes to Mike Elko, and if he doesn't do right, he will get kicked out. He will ultimately get kicked out. The Kansas State wide receiver, he's in the portal as well. He may come to Texas A&M. He may. I highly doubt it, but he may. I don't believe so, but he may come over, man. But hey, I believe you insert Jonte Cook into this offensive system, and he ultimately becomes the star of your offense, so far as passing the ball is concerned. That's all I'm saying, man, because next year you go on the road a lot next year. So this year, that was the easiest schedule because you had a lot of those games at home. Next year you go on the road. It's going to be completely insane. It's going to be wild. Nobody's going to give anything to you. So hey, man, it is what it is. I don't believe Ryan Williams is transferring all the Alabama people. Ryan Williams won't go anywhere. I don't believe so. If he does, you could potentially be in the running for both Ryan Williams and Jonte Cook. And if we get that, I'm sorry, the hype is going to come right back for Texas A&M. It's going to come back. They're going to say, hey, man, these guys are put in a position to win it again. Can you win it? I mean, all you can do is shoot your shot. All right, so that's all I have for you guys on today. I love all of you. Once again, thank you for tuning into the show. I should be back on tomorrow. And like I always say, Gigamax.